to the podcast. We are here with Steve Ramona, who's going to be telling us about InPhone. He's going to be telling us about doing business with a servant's heart. He has an excellent podcast, and even though Steve is a humble guy, he needs us to promote him and talk him up. So I'm going to talk up his podcast, which is Serving in Business Podcast.buzzsprout.com. So that way you can follow along with the Doing Business with a Servant's Hearts podcast as we're listening. So Steve, glad to be talking to you.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, likewise. And so you're all about this whole idea of doing business with a servant's heart. And we're going to be talking today about what 100 new connections a month could do to grow someone's business. So can you tell us in your own words what you're all about? What's the elevator pitch and why we should pay attention?
Yeah, well, the problem with people when they meet with people personally or in person or virtually is, where's your information go after you meet with them? You might email them, hey, here's my phone number, reach out to me anytime. Here's my email, here's my website. But 2 days go by, a week go by, 2 weeks go by, and they want to reach out to you and they can't find you. It happens probably 40% of the time over the last 3 years that I've learned talking to people, but we don't pay attention to it because we just move on with business. Hey, me and you meet, we have this meeting, we send our information out, and we can't find it, we just move on. That's money lost. That's money going down the black hole. What we do with InPhone is put your business on everybody's cell phone. What's in their hand every day? You go to a restaurant. Here you go. Our cell phones are next to us. A restaurant, if you go to a table, I do it all the time. I count how many tables. Most of them have their phone in their hand, either talking, tapping, or whatever they're doing. Imagine they're tapping and sliding and seeing your business every day. We use your logo or your headshot with your name and make an app out of it. It's called a web app, which means it's downloaded from a browser. It's not used by an app store. And why is that important? Well, an app store, if you have a device that's older, it eventually will not, that app will not work. They version it out, Apple and Android, Apple more than Android, I hate to say, but it does happen. And for example, I have an iPad mini I bought 5 years ago. Love it. All my apps don't work on there anymore. I could watch YouTube, and I think I could check my email. Well, I paid $500 for that device. It's no longer works. But if you have InPhone, I could download the InPhone and put it on that iPad and be able to have access to any business. So we have something very cool. The reason I said 100 contacts a month, last month alone, I had 218 new people see my business, were able to refer me, active or engage with me, and buy an InPhone from me. Over the last 2.5 years, I've had 30,000 people click on my InPhone link or scan my QR code, which you see in my background. So we know it's working.
And I wanted to bring that out too, because you do something that I haven't seen before, which is we've all seen like the Zoom backgrounds and like the chroma key, the green screen, but then you have an actual QR code there, which I've never seen. So if I go and take my phone and I scan your QR code on what we have on the Zoom recording, it takes me to your InPhone page. That's pretty dang cool. Your kind of online business card right there in your Zoom background. And so, right. You and I talk all the time about like, who knows where your podcast will end up, right? In a social media clip on YouTube or something, but someone could literally be watching the YouTube of you right now. And instead of being like, is this link in the description or what is it? They could literally pause the YouTube and then scan the QR code and get right to your kind of your hub here with your photo and all your links and everything. Amazing.
That's it. It's and that's the goal. We need to give people many options. You could still send your link, your InPhone link, or text it, but make sure it's on their phone. And I do that all the time. And when we get done, I'm going to show you how to put it on your phone. It's a couple clicks of a button. But why not have more touches? We know, I think it's 7-11 touches now before somebody buys. Well, how about if they did that in one day and then the next day clicked, get your InPhone, and they bought an InPhone, which has happened. But here's the other thing. I did 1,000 referrals last year, Robert, for businesses, whether my clients for InPhone or other, because you know what? I had the ability to have access to their business. If you want to refer people and you're a connector, InPhone is such a valuable tool because now you have all your business partners on your InPhone. When you click my referral network, you'll see 45 businesses that I work with that I refer. So at the very bottom there.
Yeah, so there's a referral network button, and we're kind of following along as you're saying this. So yeah, and there's like
Credit repair, coaching.
insurance agents, notary services, pet insurance. So it's like basically your little directory here.
Exactly.
And then it says, like, I clicked on one here, it said Stamper signings. And
Yep.
then there's their website, their LinkedIn. It's like, because like you've seen the, what do they call it? Like a link tree, right? And they say, oh, here's like, you have your one page with like maybe 5 links on it. But what's cool about this is like multiple levels, right? You say, let me click on this one menu for one of my referrals, and then all of their whole menu, it's like all of their contact information as well.
Yeah, and the secret sauce, that's part of our secret sauce. The home screen's big because if you download a link tree, it's going to have their logo with your name. And that still may work, but that favicon, which is the picture, that's the app that you see that I showed you, or I didn't show you, but you'll see. That's it, because now it's your face. You see Robert every day. Robert, oh, I know what Robert does. He's a podcast guy. Oh, I got to refer Robert. Click, click. Here's a QR code. Now they've referred you, but not just a name and a phone number and email. They referred everything about your business. Talk about the book we talked about earlier on your podcast, which is really cool. Take your podcast, turn it into a book. People can learn all that without meeting you. And then when they meet you, go, I got one question. Okay, I'm ready to purchase. That's the discovery time down. It allows people have time. Time is limited. And people want to refer us. When they love us as clients and customers, they want to refer us. And if they're frustrated and they can't, it's not good. Frustration is not a good emotion when people are trying to refer you.
And so this is a cool line of thought we're on here, because this whole idea of being a connector, being a referral source, like a lot of people talk about that, and that's like a good thing to be and do. But I think in practical terms, there's kind of a problem with the implementation, right? Because doing referrals and all that sounds great, but then there's that worry of, well, don't I need time to run my business still? Or if someone says, if I spend all my time with networking, what will be left over? Or even like, I'm not sure I have the energy to always be like schmoozing and talking to this or that person. So what do you say to the naysayers and the negative nannies out there who say, well, referring is great, but I just don't have the time or the energy?
Well, we have the answer, because when I share my info, like I just did with you, Robert, you now have 45 of my business partners. I don't have to refer you. It will refer for you. I'll tell you, go to my network. If you're looking for anything at all, go to my network first. You're looking for credit repair. You're going to click on Bill, open him up, maybe reach out to him, ask some questions. How much time did it take me? 0. I'm still doing my business. InPhone, you go through my InPhone and do the referral yourself.
Well,
So it makes
awesome.
referring much easier. Takes that time away. When I want to refer Robert, I'm going to want to give details. I know not everybody's like that. And that's why I love it. Our clients can go, well, think about this. Think about this vision. Every time I give out my InPhone, I give out 45 business cards. I'm not going to carry 45 business cards to the next chamber event and go, here's my photographer. Here's my credit repair. Here's my CBD supplement. You don't do that, but with InPhone, you can. We say in InPhone, our phrase is, your network is your net worth. If you have one person in your business network, you're going to do okay. But you're going to have 45 like me, or 145. Sky's the limit, because now you start getting the reciprocal back and forth referrals. Hey, I ran into this guy. You need to talk to him about InPhone. Hey, I ran into this person. They need an insurance agent. So now you get this, and the universe changes. When you give a referral out to somebody, it comes back to you in some type of form in a positive way.
And so it seems like the kind of the theme of our conversation here is that the old way of doing things that was inefficient results in a lot of things getting thrown out. Like we were saying, you meet someone, business card gets thrown out, but you meet someone, you get with them on a podcast, that lasts forever. And it's in this whole sea of the internet. So it's another question if someone finds it, but if the right person at the right time finds it, then that is something. And then now with your InPhone, you're basically kind of create this kind of like directory around yourself, where like the people that you meet are kind of part of your network. So if someone starts using this InPhone service and they get the QR code and they're like building their network, building the directory, what's kind of the 60-day plan? Like, should someone go out and look at who they already know, or how does someone go from nothing to like filling their directory up?
Great question, Robert. Great question. First thing, every time you meet somebody, whether virtually or in person, hey, Robert, let me leave you with my info. This is all my contact info. That's what I do with everybody. Probably had 1 out of 500 that say no, but everybody's met with me, and it's not about just buying an info, it's my resources. So that's the first thing. Everybody you meet, you give them your info like it's a business card. The second thing is I tell all the businesses I mentor, including my clients, the first thing you do after you meet with me is you need to go through your contact list. And I've had 20 businesses do that over the last 6 months. Every single one of them got a sale, because guess what happens? Their cousin goes, Robert, I didn't know you build podcasts for people. I didn't know you help write books. Yeah, Mike, I just talked to this guy here last week. Because we don't tell our family and friends what we do for some reason. Either it's a fear of block or we just don't think about it. I talked to a gentleman, and I forget his name, a couple of years ago, very young. He built a flipping house course just through his family and friends, through his contact list on his phone. It's the only way he marketed. He makes $1 million a month now.
Fantastic. So you've built this this cool service, and you have this podcast called Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Can you tell us about like what you've been doing to get the word out? Because the referrals are doing their thing, and you're like a really good kind of marketer of what you have here. But as far as like the rest of your business, what are you doing to get this traffic and get the attention?
First, having great guests. As you know, being a podcaster, when you have a great guest and you're getting somebody on YouTube getting 1,000 views, that's first thing, because they're going to keep seeing Doing Business with a Servant Heart. Then I get a message, hey, I want to be on your show. Or I've got this guy that wants to be on your show. I have so many guest opportunities just from referral. Just after we did our show this morning, I had 3 people sign up to be a guest from somebody else referral. Hey, you need to be on Steve's podcast. I also think Doing Business with a Servant's Heart resonates with a lot of people, and they want to be part of that. It's a very positive experience. And it's positive that they get that message out about their business, that they do that. Because I did a TV show this morning, and that's what we talked about. If a company focused on serving their staff, their employees, and their customers, it's a 50% bump in income eventually. I can't give you a time frame. I don't know. But the thing is, your culture increases. You're out there, the manager or the CEO, side by side with their staff, helping them, serving them. What can I do better? Whatever that may be. It is a game changer for businesses. I should write a book, and maybe I do. I am looking at writing a book called Be a Better Customer. Because think about this, Robert. We have terrible customers out there. That person that sits in the shopping line and, it's 6:00 in the afternoon and it's packed and they're screaming, get another clerk. This is crazy. Can't you see all these people? Well, we don't know 4 people didn't show up for work or there was an emergency. We don't know. We're not walking in their shoes. We need to have empathy and patience. If we teach customers to do that and they deal with the company that way, the business, and vice versa, it's going to change the game. I'll use restaurants. That's where I started my research. I talked to over 100 managers in the last couple of years, and I always look for the good in a waitress. So the waitress does their work, and I love them. I call the manager over. 99 out of 100 times, Robert, I get a face like, holy crap, this another negative response. And I'll go, hey, Joe, Debbie, the waitress, was so good. She was talking about my wife, about kids. I love her. She's one of the best waitresses I've ever had. They go like this. And I'm like, what's going on? He goes, I've never heard that. And one guy told me in 10 years as a manager at that restaurant, he's never heard a positive experience. Why? Because people are getting positive experiences. Tell them. And he said, it changed my day. That's serving. Let's, as a customer, tell our businesses they're doing a good job, whether it's a review or just, I think it's even better to go right to the manager and tell them, man, I just bought some clothes here. This salesperson was so great. They were so kind. We do more of that. I think we change the world.
I love that message, that it's so easy and natural to go to the negativity, and then in any kind of customer service situation, these people that are, managers working the cash register, etc., they spend their whole day just dealing with the anger, the complainers. And if you just went out of your way to that little bit of positivity and the compliment, and just like have a nice remark, that would really stand out. And there's so little of that in the world. And so this whole idea of doing business with a servant's heart, when I hear it, I think I have an idea of what it means. It seems self-explanatory, but I want to hear the message from the horse's mouth. What does doing business with a servant's heart mean?
So first, I'm going to put a challenge to your audience. I love doing call to actions. Audience, I want you, when you listen to this, I want you to reach out to one business manager, somebody in a business that you go to that you've done business with, and just tell them how good they were. Now, I'm not saying lie. If it wasn't good, maybe don't say anything was not too bad. Of course, if it's bad, I've had a restaurant that, didn't do, I had to tell them, hey, our food was cold, and they took care of it, but I don't yell at them. But challenge you to pick and do more. But at least one time this week, when you listen to this, reach out to somebody and tell them how good they are. That leads to doing business with a servant's heart. I tell people serve all the time. And I get this, I don't have a lot of money. Well, serving doesn't mean you spend money. You don't need to go give to your church, give to your nonprofit. If you can, that's great. That's serving. But how about calling your best friend you haven't talked to in a year? Well, probably wouldn't be your best friend if you haven't talked to a year, but somebody you haven't talked to in a year. And maybe they're going through a hard time and you just tell them, I'm here for you. That's serving. Go to your employees and just thank them for being an employee. Go to to a soup kitchen. Go to a homeless shelter and volunteer. Spend 30 minutes of your day a month and volunteer. I do that with my church. I volunteer twice a month. It's the best experience in the world. Your universe will change. And I don't want you to serve expecting something back. It will. You don't know what that's going to look like. It could be money. It could be a great client. It could be when you're down, Robert calls me and says, man, that was a great show. Now I'm up. Give value. Give people a law of increase. Give a pet to your dog. That's serving your dog. I don't care what it is, but give people value. Again, from Think and Grow Rich, a law of increase. And your life will change and get better and better and better.
Amazing. Just these small actions adding up,
Yeah.
and they say it costs nothing to be kind. And so you've given us this cool concept about the InPhone. You've given us this really great life advice about being a better person and being courteous and everything that goes along with that. And as you know, the story and the struggle and the conflict is what's really interesting. So since we've been super positive, now it's time to get maybe a little negative, but not too much. But do you have anything to share with us about some area where you've struggled, or you've kind of gone through some kind of like emotional turmoil and come out the other end? Does anything come to mind as far as just the difficulties in your online business journey?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I was part of a company, network marketing company. I was about a year in, and I remember, I still will never forget, driving to play softball. I get a call from my partner in my team, and he said, our company just got closed down by the SEC. Lost $7K. Like, holy crap, what? Big team. I was doing presentations in front of 20, 30, 40, 50 people, loving it, serving them, and it's gone. What I learned is that was an opportunity that went away, and I was not going to do other opportunities. But I said, no. Other successful people, Warren Buffett comes to mind, have had many bankruptcies, many problems in business like that where they've just didn't work out. And I've had to close a business myself. It was hard because I was really helping people. But what you want to do with that obstacle is learn from your lessons, go out, serve. So when I lost my business, I went and started working at a restaurant. I built that little 8-table restaurant with my friend that's the owner, but it was me serving my clients, having fun with them while I'm cooking. Again, doing servant mentality. We were packed all the time. We did really well. So get past your obstacle, take your time to grieve, but learn from your lesson and move on. The other thing I've learned about obstacles and struggles If you're a business or a person that's serving all the time to somebody, when a mistake happens, and it always does in business, you do podcasts, maybe it's spelled wrong or the wrong, whatever it may be. If you've taken care of your customer up to that point, the obstacle is not a mountain. It's not Yosemite. It's now just a quick molehill. Oh, they had a little problem. People get past it because you've taken care of them by serving them all these years or months or whatever that time frame is. That's the power of serving. You can overcome obstacles.
And what comes to mind with some of this is just this idea of emotional intelligence and your own self-awareness. And you're making me think back to when I was teenager and early 20s. If there was some small problem, I would really freak out about it. And I would make a huge deal about it with myself and with someone else. And maybe it's because I'm a dad now or something, but if there's a problem, I don't ignore the problem, but if there's a way to justify it as something silly that happened or something that in the grand perspective of things, is it really that bad? And it's never as bad as I used to overreact about just the tiniest of problems. And then there's also like that factor you're mentioning there of the goodwill you've built up until this point. And if like you've been 99.1% everything's great, and there's just like the tiniest little mistake that'll be fixed later, then in the whole ratio of all the bad to the good, there's so much good in just a little tiny mistake that's temporary that will be fixed. And it's like it's hard to naturally come to that conclusion, but it helps to have the cognitive, like logical brain to give us those kind of constant reminders just to overcome that tendency to just really go for the extreme negative and everything's bad, and it's really not as bad as your emotions are trying to tell you it is.
Very well said. Unfortunately, in our society, it's so much easier to go negative than positive. I don't know why. Because negativity leads to negativity back at you, which is hard to deal with. But when you get positive, you make somebody smile, you make them laugh, you make them feel good, you feel good. That's 100% guarantee. Nobody can argue with me on that. Maybe they could, but it's just really, I've seen it. I know you see it. We all see it. If you think about it, you have kids, you do something good for them, they're going to smile. They're going to be happy. Why not bring that up more and more and more? Let's serve like they never served before.
I love it. Inspiring message. And you're digging up all these memories, but you're making me think about like when I was even younger, like, junior high school and high school, and just being around, bad people and playing the woulda, shoulda, coulda game and thinking if I could do it over again, I would have found a better group of friends. If there was someone who was just bringing me down in that way, I would have made more effort to not give that oxygen and to move on and just to say, these people that just do nothing but tear others down, they don't really deserve that much attention. What does deserve attention is the other crowd that is doing their best to bring everyone else up. And so that's why you're here and I'm here. And then the people who are watching and listening are tuning into the positivity when they could be tuning into some doom and gloom news or just looking into all these reasons to get upset, but instead focus on building your business, being a referrer, using InPhone, tuning into the Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast, etc. And so I want to do a little bit of copyright infringement off of you here, Steve, which is when I was on your show, you asked me what's my favorite book. And I believe something along the lines of like, what's one of my favorite like life lessons. So can you indulge me in this copyright infringement and tell me what's your favorite book and what's a really hopeful, powerful life lesson to pass along to our listeners?
Well, I love that. We talked about Think and Grow Rich. Again, get that, but I'm not going to focus on that because we've talked about, come to my podcast and listen, Robert eloquently talk about Think and Grow Rich. One of the things I like that ties into serving is Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. And talking about, for example, in Italy, for some reason, there's this little town in Italy, these people live 100, 104, 105. They're outliers compared to the whole world, that they're just living as centurions. And when you serve, unfortunately, in this world, when you're a serving person, you're an outlier. You're going to stand out more. You're going to be unique. I mean, like I said, the story about the manager at restaurants, how many times they were blown away how it was complimenting their staff when I think it should be the other way around. But right now, That's an outlier. And it's a great book talking about the power of being an outlier and being unique. What I'd love to leave your audience, and I tell everybody I meet that wants my help, is get better 1% every day. Read a book, get on a podcast, talk to Robert, talk to a mentor, whatever that is, get better just 1%. That's a very small percentage. You do that throughout 2023. We're now in March. So I'm going to do a quick numbers. That's probably like over a 200% increase in you and your business. 1% every day. I try to do that every day with my study and with connecting with good people and increasing my environment. I suggest to do the same thing. And I'll leave you one more thing about serving. The power of serving is looking at your staff, looking at your environment. You said it earlier, you caught my ear with that, maybe I should have got rid of some of my friends, and maybe I should have as well, and I have. Look at your environment. Are they serving others as you are? If they are, keep them tight, keep them close, because your life and your business will be much better.
Powerful. Control that circle, and 1% compound interest, improve your knowledge every day. So much of the conversation we've had has been about these ideas we're passing along and digested and learned. Doing business with a servant's heart. You can locate that at servinginbusinesspodcast.buzzsprout.com. And then if someone wants to use this InPhone business toolpad, which they should, how do they claim it? How do they begin using InPhone?
So what they do is they'll scan the QR code like you just did, or they can go to inphone.co/SR1, inphone.co/SR1. If it resonates with you, I have a button on my InPhone that says get your InPhone, and you can make the purchase and you get started with me, and I'll work with you and serve you. Or reach out to me and I'll jump on a demo and spend 20 minutes or so with you, and I'll demo the power of InPhone and serve you as well.
Fantastic. That is inphone.co/SR1, or as Steve said, a lot of people don't know this, especially with iPhones, so it's kind of hidden, but you can click or hold down the camera button and then just hold it up to the QR code, and then there you go, and it scans it, and then you are the newest InPhone user, so you can build that directory of referrals and then give without the expectation of receiving in return, but also knowing that in general, with the spooky laws of the universe or whatever you want to call it, by putting out there, it will return to you in some way. Just don't expect it, and don't be giving with the expectation of getting immediately. Be a giver, be that referral source. Put the good and the positivity in the world, and you can begin doing that by checking out Steve Ramona on social media networks, the Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast, and inphone.co/SR1. So go ahead, do it right now. We will see you there. And Steve, thanks so much for being on and podcast swapping with me and sharing some really cool stories. I appreciate you.
God bless you, Robert. Thank you. This was fun.